Hello everyone. Fame doesn't shield celebrities from scrutiny, and sometimes they make fatal mistakes. Join us in this video as we share the stories of 17 famous people who killed their spouses. Each case is different, but many are marked by needless and violent crimes. Before we dive in, don't forget to like the video and hit the bell icon for notifications of more intriguing content from our channel. On number 17 is Earl Hayes. The music business was shocked in 2014 when up-and-coming rapper Earl Hayes was suddenly propelled into the public eye for reasons that had nothing to do with his blossoming career. The sad event began when gunshots were heard inside of Hayes' flat, which prompted a response from the police, who discovered a horrifying scene when they arrived. Earl Hayes and his wife, Stephanie Mosley, both appeared to have passed away inside of their home. The tragic end that befell Stephanie Mosley, who was known as a professional dancer and had prominent appearances on VH1's Hit the Floor, was brought about by the actions of her husband. After conducting their investigation, law enforcement personnel came to the conclusion that Hayes had deathed his wife prior to taking his own life. The disturbing event brought to light the intricacies that can lie hidden beneath the dazzling facade of fame, as personal difficulties and relationships can spin out of control, leading to disastrous results. The focus of the media on Earl Hayes abruptly turned from his promising career as a musician to the melancholy reality of the tragic events that occurred in his home. Not only did the event put a gloomy shadow over the lives that were lost, but it also encouraged people to focus on the demands and problems that are encountered by those who are navigating the demanding world of celebrity culture. On number 16 is Russell Neal. In the 1990s, the popular line, "I like the way, the kissing game," brought Russell Neal, a musician who had previously been a member of the well-known R&B group Hi-Five, to widespread notoriety. However, in 2014, the artist's life took a turn for the worst when he stepped into a local police station and confessed that his wife had passed away. This was a turning point in the artist's life. This surprising admission led the investigators to a horrifying find, which was that Neal's wife had been found dead, having been savagely killed to death. The unfortunate event not only resulted in the loss of a life, but also catapulted the once famous performer into the gloomy glare of criminal claims. The two children of the marriage were handed over to the care of Neal's mother-in-law, which resulted in the most significant upheaval of their life to that point. The vulnerability of private lives in the face of public fame was brought into sharp relief by the striking contrast between the 90s music triumph and the grim reality of a death charge. It is a painful reminder of the complexity that fame can introduce into the private sphere, the ways in which it may unravel lives in unexpected and devastating ways, and how Russell Neal's slide from the heights of musical glory to the depths of a death investigation serves as an example of this. On number 15 is Robert Blake. Robert Blake, who first gained notoriety for his endearing performance as a child actor in the legendary Little Rascals television series, went on to have a great and renowned career in the acting industry more generally. In spite of his early success, in 2001 his life took a gloomy and unanticipated turn when he became involved in a high-profile death case involving his wife, Bonnie Backley. Backley was gunned down to her death as she sat in a car waiting for Blake when the tragic incident took place. The hysteria that the case generated in the media portrayed a bleak picture, leading some to speculate that Blake may have been involved in the unfortunate occurrence. As a result of the subsequent legal proceedings, Blake was charged with the suspected death of his wife, and he faced arrest and prosecution for the crime. This placed a pall over his once bright career in Hollywood. Blake's innocent innocence as a little rascal was set against the backdrop of the severe claims that were brought against him, which illustrated the intricacies that may permeate the lives of prominent individuals. Both Blake's private life and his reputation in the entertainment world were profoundly altered as a direct result of the case's ability to captivate the public's attention. The events leading up to the death trial acted as a jarring illustration of the fact that even the most illustrious figures can find themselves embroiled in the most precarious of circumstances. On number 14 is Chris Benoit, when former WWE superstar Chris Benoit killed himself at his family home in Georgia in 2007. The world of professional wrestling was shaken to its very foundation. Chris Benoit's death sent shockwaves across the entire industry. The disturbing facts showed a nightmare chain of events. Benoit, who was previously famous in the ring, shot and killed his wife before turning his attention to his own son, whom he strangled. Benoit committed himself by hanging himself as the terrifying event came to a close. There has been no clear explanation provided for the awful deed that was committed. Benoit's dramatic mood swings, which may have been made worse by the multiple injuries he sustained over his wrestling career, have been hypothesized to have played a role, despite the fact that no definitive explanation has been provided. This tragedy sparked discussions not only inside the wrestling community, but also further afield, which helped put attention on the mental and physical toll that the wrestling industry can inflict on its participants. The tragic story of Chris Benoit is a sobering illustration of the intricate dynamic that exists between celebrity, physical stress, and mental well-being. His alarming acts inspired others to think about the mental health of athletes who compete in high-impact sports and the importance of recognizing and addressing the issues that athletes in those activities may confront to their mental health. The consequences of that terrible night continue to reverberate throughout the wrestling world, and they have left an indelible scar on the reputation of an athlete who was previously held in high esteem. On number 13 is Joven Belcher, when a fit of rage caused former NFL player Jovan Belcher's life to fall apart. The year 2012 was a witness to a heartbreaking event that occurred. As having a heated dispute with his long-term partner, he performed a horrible deed by taking his own life as the debate became extremely heated. The misery was compounded when Belcher, who was in a hopeless state, attempted to flee the scene, but ended up turning the weapon on himself and taking his own life instead. People who were close friends with the couple were affected the most by the unexpected and puzzling event, leaving them in a state of disbelief and tremendous loss. The inexplicability of the violence highlighted the unpredictability that can rip apart lives, even those that appear to be steady. The repercussions of this terrible occurrence were felt most keenly by the couple's little daughter, who, in a tragic twist of destiny, was orphaned by the very people who were supposed to provide her with love and care. The aftermath of this terrifying tragedy was felt most profoundly by the young daughter. A community is in grief as a result of the unexpected spiral into violence and tragedy that Joven Belcher experienced. This has sparked conversations about the difficulties of interpersonal relationships and the implications of unbridled emotions. This tragic event serves as a sobering reminder of the far-reaching influence that domestic situations can have on the lives of those who are left behind, and it breaks one's heart to think about it. On number 12 is Oscar Pistorius. Oscar Pistorius, a spectacular Olympic runner known as the Blade Runner for competing with two prosthetic legs, originally attracted the attention of people all over the world for his inspirational achievements on the track. On the other hand, in 2013, he shot and killed his girlfriend, Reva Steenkamp, which catapulted him into an even darker spotlight than he had been in previously. Pistorius first asserted that the sad incident was the result of a case of mistaken identity, claiming that he mistook Steenkamp for an intruder when he shot and killed her. This story elicited compassion from listeners and prompted them to ponder the grey areas that exist between acts of self-defense and terrible mistakes. On the other hand, as the court processes progressed, a new narrative began to take shape. The early assumptions made about this case have been called into question as a result of the startling verdict against Oscar Pistorius, which found him guilty of death. Pistorius is currently serving out his sentence in his home nation of South Africa. The decision of the court shed light on the nuances of the matter, and Pistorius is serving out his term there. Not only did the tragic story of Oscar Pistorius symbolize the downfall of a famous athlete, but it also generated questions about the obligations and repercussions that come along with celebrity. The case brought to light the fact that personal lives are not immune to danger, even in the middle of exceptional accomplishments, and it has left an indelible impact not just on the world of sports, but also on the consciousness of the general public. On number 11 is Michael Jace. In a terrible episode that took place in 2014, actor Michael Jace sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry when he made a terrifying 911 call confessing to kill his wife. The news spread like wildfire throughout the film industry. The news quickly disseminated around the sector like a forest fire. The disturbing statement served as a foreshadowing for the awful discovery that was made when the authorities arrived at the spot and learned that Jace's wife had been found dead there. The actor was arrested and charged with offences related to the incident as soon as it was discovered that he was involved. According to the stories that circulated about the motivation, there was a dark side to the couple's relationship. These allegations hinted that there was a history of domestic abuse in the household. As the court processes continued, Michael Jace entered a plea of not guilty, which added an additional degree of complexity to a situation that was already very sad. The trial brought to light the challenges that are frequently concealed within personal relationships, especially for persons who are in the public glare, and it did so by bringing to light the issues that are frequently buried. The fact that Michael Jace went from being a famous actor to a defendant in a killer trial raised attention to the pervasive issue of domestic abuse, as well as the potentially disastrous ramifications of such violence. Jace was charged with the death of his ex-wife. The case spurred wider conversations regarding the prevalence of such problems in society and the relevance of identifying warning indicators in order to prevent terrible effects in love relationships. These discussions were sparked by the case. The case initially prompted these conversations to take place. On number 10 is Marie Trintignant. As the daughter of the legendary actor Jean-Louis Trintignant and the director and writer Nadine Marquand, Marie Trintignant was a beloved member of the French film royalty. She forged her own path as an actress and maintained a consistent work schedule throughout her decades-long career. But tragically, that career was cut short in 2003 when Marie Trintignant passed away from cerebral edema. She had been severely beaten by singer Bertrand Cantat just a few days before her death. After the breakup with her husband, she began a relationship with Cantat, and it was said that he was envious of the fact that she was still in contact with her former partner, Marie. According to the New York Times, he went into a violent rage one night while they were vacationing in Lithuania with her family, and he physically abused her until she fell into a coma. However, the singer insisted that she had accidentally hit her head against the wall, so he cannot be held responsible for her condition. Cantat was eventually found guilty of Marie's death after an autopsy revealed that he had lied about the circumstances surrounding her death. In spite of the petitions submitted by advocates for victims of domestic violence, he was granted an early release only after serving 4 years of his sentence. After being granted his freedom, the singer wed another woman who subsequently accused him of abusing her in the past. According to a report in The Telegraph, she took her own life in the year 2010. On 9th is Ray Carth. Ray Carth, a former player in the National Football League who was once admired for his skills on the field, rose to notoriety after committing a horrifying crime in the year 1999. Cherika Adams, who was carrying Carth's child, was the target of a terrible plan that involved the hiring of a professional killer. It is alleged that Carth blocked Adams' car, thereby making it possible for a hired gunman to shoot her. This horrifying turn of events occurred because of Carth. Adams sustained life-threatening injuries as a result of the accident, and sadly, she passed away a month later. Because of the attack, the unborn child was delivered early, and while he did survive, he was left with permanent disabilities. Carth's fall from the heights of sports stardom to the notoriety of the criminal underworld led to his incarceration. He was given a prison sentence of close to 19 years duration. Carth's case represents a miserable chapter in the connection of sports, criminality, and tragedy, and the 22nd of October, 2018, is the anticipated release date for the case. The narrative not only emphasizes the repercussions of a once-admired athlete's descent into criminality, but it also draws attention to the devastating effect that such actions can have on the lives of innocent people. This heinous act will forever tarnish the legacy of Carth, serving as a stark reminder of the darkness that can exist behind the glitz and glamour of professional sports. On 8th is O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson, a former football star who became a pivotal figure in one of the most high-profile killing cases in recent history, became the focus of attention in the 1990s. The trial of O.J. Simpson, who was accused of killing his wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, as well as her friend, Ronald Goldman, held the nation's attention. Simpson firmly maintained his innocence in the face of overwhelming evidence that pointed in his direction, including a dramatic car chase that was broadcast live on television. Simpson was finally found not guilty after enduring a lengthy trial that was turned into a media spectacle. This conclusion sparked strong public debate and residual mistrust in the aftermath of the case. Despite the fact that Simpson was found not guilty in a court of law, many members of the general public continued to suspect that he was involved in the brutal double deaths. In 2007, Simpson published a controversial book titled If I Did It, in which he outlined a hypothetical description of how he would have committed the crime if he were guilty. This added another layer to the ongoing issue. This publishing rekindled popular interest and highlighted ethical considerations about profiting from such a sad and tragic event in history. The trial of O.J. Simpson continues to be an important part of both legal and cultural history because it sheds light on the complications of celebrity, the legal system, and public perception. On 7th is Bren Harman. In a tragic turn of events in the year 1998, Bren Harman, the wife of famous comedian Phil Hartman, horrified the public when she shot and killed her husband while he was sleeping. The public was shocked by this unfortunate turn of events. Bren Harman took her own life before the authorities could interfere, which brought the already bleak situation to a new and even more desperate low. After the occurrence, Hartman's attorney shed light on potential contributing factors to her catastrophic acts, noting difficulties such as substance misuse as one of the examples given. It was speculated that she had begun using drugs again due to the influence of the comedian Andy Dick, despite the fact that she had been clean for 10 years at the time. The case brought to light the intricate dynamic between an individual's internal issues, their mental health, and the influence of external factors. The precarious nature of recovery was brought into sharp relief by the route that Bren Harman took from sobriety to a sad ending, as was the possible fallout of relapsing into substance misuse. The fact that she relapsed into drug usage with the help of a colleague in the comedy industry added an extra degree of complication to an already painful story. The tragic event that occurred with the Hartman family continues to serve as a reminder of the complex obstacles that individuals must overcome and the enormous repercussions that can result from the confluence of internal conflicts and external factors. On 6th is Sid Vicious. The notorious guitarist for the Sex Pistols, Sid Vicious, became involved in a sketchy situation in 1978, which cast a shadow over the punk rock world at the time. The fact that his lover Nancy Spungen was found dead in the toilet of their hotel room caused immediate suspicion to be directed towards Vicious. After that, he was taken into custody for her death, and while he admitted to killing her, he insisted that he had no intention of actually killing her. Vicious passed away from an overdose before the conclusion of the trial, which has left the case cloaked in mystery and has left a trail of unsolved questions in its wake. An ominous death pact may have existed between Vicious and Spungen, as suggested by a mysterious note that Vicious' mother is said to have discovered after her son's passing. This adds a further degree of mystery to the situation. The tragic story of Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen, which combines aspects of defiance, substance abuse, and a stormy relationship, is still considered to be one of the most depressing chapters in punk's history. The lingering mystique and enduring infamy of this rock and roll tragedy are both contributed to by the unresolved circumstances surrounding the death of Spungen, as well as Vicious' own passing. The turbulent nature of punk culture in the late 1970s is reflected in the narrative, along with the catastrophic effects that can accompany the culture's spirit of rebellion. On number 5 is Faye Dunaway. Actress Faye Dunaway, whose outward appearance conveys a kind and modest manner, was catapulted into the public eye in 1965 for an incident that showed a darker aspect to her life. The incident occurred when her boyfriend was found dead in her flat. Dunaway's image as a calm and collected person was destroyed when it was revealed that she had repeatedly killed her husband with a letter opener before she was charged with his death. Ray Allen was found dead in their home. According to the rumors, their relationship was turbulent and filled with instances of violence, with Allen supposedly treating Dunaway poorly on multiple occasions. On the tragic day of his death, accounts recounted a violent intrusion into Dunaway's home, where Allen purportedly broke in and began hitting her, smashing her head against the wall. According to these tales, Dunaway died as a result of the injuries she sustained from the assault. The case drew attention to the nuances of domestic violence, challenging conventional conceptions and inspiring empathy for those who, when faced with dire situations, may resort to extreme actions. The narrative of Faye Dunaway serves as a stark reminder of the hidden problems that individuals, even those in the public view, may experience inside their personal lives. It reveals a poignant and sad layer behind the surface of her public persona, and it serves as a stark reminder of the hidden struggles that individuals, especially those in the public front, may encounter within their personal lives. On 4th is William S. Burroughs. During his time as a writer, William S. Burroughs, also known by his pen name William Lee, achieved both critical acclaim and notoriety in his lifetime. He is most known for his contributions to the literary canon of the Beat generation. Burroughs found himself at the center of a tragic incident in 1951, which would go on to alter the trajectory of his life, as well as the trajectory of his body of work. While Burroughs was trying to shoot an apple off his wife's head, an unfortunate accident caused him to shoot and kill his wife, which was a strange and tragic turn of events. The harrowing experience, which was reminiscent of William Tell's famed archery feat, turned out to be a difficult chapter in Burroughs' life. Burroughs made a profound statement as he reflected on the unfortunate event, saying, "I am forced to the appalling conclusion that I would have never become a writer but for Joan's death. So the death of Joan brought me into contact with the invader, the ugly spirit, and manipulated me into a lifelong struggle in which I had no choice but to write my way out." The writings of Burroughs highlight the complicated relationship between individual tragedy and artistic production. They demonstrate the nuanced ways in which life's most significant obstacles can influence the creative spirit. On 3rd is Claudine Longet. Claudine Longet, a multi-talented performer who is famous for her skills as a singer, actor, and dancer, was once a star who enjoyed being in the spotlight. However, Her life took a devastating turn when her longtime partner, former Olympian Spade Koy, was killed, which altered the path that her public image would take going forward. In 1976, Longet's life took a turn for the worst when she was arrested and accused of being responsible for Koy's death. Longet insisted that the gun had gone off by mistake, but the court proceedings concluded that she was responsible for the death of her boyfriend due to negligent homicide. The subsequent punishment, on the other hand, which was a comparatively light 30 days in prison to be spent at her discretion, caused eyebrows to be raised. After the conclusion of the trial, Claudine Longet withdrew from the spotlight, opting instead to pursue a life of seclusion, far from the cameras that had chronicled her spectacular performances in the past. Longet's journey from the glitz of the spotlight to the shadows of legal controversy occurred against the backdrop of a turbulent incident that permanently altered the trajectory of her public life, and the case highlighted the delicate intersection of fame and personal tragedy. The case highlighted the delicate junction of fame and personal tragedy. On second is Gigy, the memory of the actor and entertainer Gigy, who won an Academy Award for his work, was tarnished by a terrible and well-known incident. Young was acclaimed for his ability as an entertainer. In 1978, Young became a well-known figure not just for his artistic accomplishments, but also for his involvement in a terrifying death. The incident occurred in the same year. The unexpected occurrence took place only 3 weeks after Young's marriage, leaving the public bewildered and disturbed as a result of the news. The fact that there was no obvious reason for the death contributed to the air of intrigue that surrounded the tragedy. The events that led up to the tragedy sparked a great deal of curiosity and conjecture, but they did not yield any answers that could be considered definitive. The transformation of Gigy from a renowned actor into a character associated with a murky and puzzling crime brought to light the intricacies of human connections as well as the unpredictability of individual tragedy. The event has left an enduring imprint on Young's career, serving as a chilling reminder that even individuals who convey joy to audiences on television can struggle with internal demons that are beyond the comprehension of the general public. The intrigue that surrounds the death continues to linger, which has cast a dark and cryptic shadow over Young's once brilliant career in Hollywood. On first is Spade Koy. Spade Koy had a dramatic fall from grace that tainted his legacy, and he was once a significant player in the entertainment industry as a famous big band leader and performer. In 1961, he was arrested for the death of his wife, tried for the crime, and ultimately convicted of the crime. This brought an abrupt end to his blooming career. According to the reports, Koy's suspicions of his wife's infidelity reached a boiling point when she admitted to the affair before filing for divorce. This was the point at which Koy decided to file for divorce. Because of his rage, Koy committed a terrible crime that irrevocably changed the course of his life, as well as his professional life. The legal repercussions led to Koy being sentenced to prison, but the story took a terrible turn when he died of a heart attack while on a 3-day furlough to sing at a performance. The legal repercussions led to Koy being sentenced to prison. Not only did he leave behind a legacy of musical prowess, but he also left behind a dark chapter that was marked by personal sorrow and violence. The circumstances that surrounded his death added a degree of complexity to an already extraordinary case. The story of Spade Koy serves as a powerful reminder of the precarious nature of achievement, as well as the significant repercussions that can be the result of emotions that are not controlled and actions that are harmful. Thank you for watching our channel's videos. For more such information and related stuff, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for recent updates.